Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman. I hope everybody is doing well. Today I'm going to be doing a psychic reading / mediumship reading. We're going to be channeling information about Paul Walker. Now, I use my gift as a medium to channel, but I also like to incorporate tarot in this because something for you guys, the viewers, that are not able to see what I'm able to see or hear what I'm able to hear, this will be kind of like something that you can see visually and get a better understanding of what happened. So we all know that Paul Walker was a famous actor. He had some businesses, something to do with racing. You know, he was in the Fast and the Furious, so he made a lot of films about that. And we know that in the night or the day of the accident that Roger Rodas, who was, I believe, like a racer or whatnot, he was operating or driving the vehicle. There's been a lot of speculation whether this was foul play, was it an accident, who is to blame. You know, there were the company, the manufacturer of the vehicle, I think they were involved in a lawsuit. There was kind of like a payout or a settlement, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to focus on Paul Walker and Roger Rodas, obviously, and the energy behind them. Now, I did get to see, I didn't know who Roger Rodas was. Like I said, I wasn't a fan or a follower of racing, but I did see a photo prior to doing this reading of him to kind of gauge and see and tap into his energy as well, since they're both on the other side. So I'm going to actually use a combination of this, which is the Raven's Wand Oracle, and I'm going to be using the Dark Mirror Oracle and also the Rider-Waite Tarot, which is one of my favorite decks, to see what messages come through, as in addition to channeling. So I'm going to start off with the Raven's Oracle. When I was prior to going into this reading that I'm doing now on Paul Walker, I was asked by Spirit, or actually drawn by Spirit, to use this Oracle deck to see what messages would come across. They almost felt like, I felt like they were telling me, like, this is going to give some answers. So if Paul Walker was here today, like, what would he say? Like, what kind of messages would he be giving from the other side? Because I feel like his soul is very strong on the other side. Now, I feel like he had a lot yet to accomplish. So definitely his soul, you know, his departure was one that was like an early exit point for him. I feel like he would have continued to be very, very successful. Sometimes I will say this, and this may not make any sense. Sometimes when we are seeing two different people that die in a crash, or, you know, a multiple set of people, sometimes, people like Paul Walker, whose soul's exit point is not ready, it's not like it wasn't his time. That's what I get from Spirit very strongly. It can be affected if somebody like Roger Rodas, who actually, I feel like that was his exit point. So if you are in a vehicle with two people, right, the probability of that other person having that exit point and leaving is going to be increased if there's a person whose exit point is in the vehicle. And when I say exit point, meaning that his soul was ready to depart in that accident. It chose that accident. The fact that Paul Walker was in the vehicle at the same time, even though it wasn't his time, it was almost like a mutual, not an agreement, but a mutual soul contract or soul blueprint that they would both exit together. But I honestly feel like Rodas's exit point influenced Paul Walker's exit point. I don't know if that will make sense to you guys. I know what I'm trying to say, but to verbalize it and explain it in a way that everybody understands that is a little difficult. But I do feel like the both of them had, Paul Walker's time was not to go. He could have survived that accident. I feel like there was a probability he could have been ejected. You know, he could have potentially survived, you know, that situation had the wreck not been so catastrophic the way it was. But really and truly, even if the wreck, you know, I don't feel like the wreck would have been less. I guess let me retract that and state it this way. If the wreck would have been less intense and the vehicle less damaged, there's a probability that Paul Walker would have survived. Rodas, I don't think so. I don't feel like his soul was going to stay here in the physical world. But I feel because of the impact and because of what Rhoda had in his energy at the time operating the vehicle, it actually facilitated the exit point for Paul Walker. But again, I want to make it clear here on my channel that I do not feel as a psychic medium that it was Paul Walker's time or exit point to leave the physical world. He left before carrying out other things that he had. And I do feel like, again, Rhodas's exit point influenced or contributed. So I've repeated that a lot. So let me just go ahead and get into this this oracle deck and see what messages are coming across. Like, I want to know what Spirit is going to reveal about Paul Walker and Rhodas's relationship. So the first card that I will pull, because a lot of people are under the impression that they were friends, quote unquote, and they were also under the impression that there were no substances found in their systems, which, you know, I'm not going to say that that is for a fact. Again, we know a lot of things are covered up in Hollywood. There's a lot of alleged things that happen. So I want to see what was their relationship between both of them. So the first 3 cards that I pull is going to be kind of a clarification of whether they were truly good that day or that night. What was actually going on between those two? Because I feel like we need clarification. So the first thing about the relationship that comes in is the nature of the beast. So the nature of the beast, we see like a boar here. And we see like a little witch here. The nature of the beast. I've heard that saying before. A lot of you have heard that saying before as well. When we hear like the word of the nature of the beast, it's like, you know, if it happens, it happens. So their relationship, I would say, based on what I see here, the nature of the beast is like there was some darkness surrounding both of them. There was a lot of eyes, a lot of jealousy on both of them. So their relationship, they may have gotten together as friends or became friends because they shared some mutual passions, which were for, you know, racing, for maybe like cars and vehicles and things of that nature. But let's take it a step further and see what else comes out. So commemoration. This is like telling a story. Like they are both saying that, you know, they were both commemorated. When you commemorate someone, it's almost like you're remembering them, you're honoring their memory. So again, I feel like they're saying that their relationship was one where now they're being commemorated, basically, and which makes sense because they have passed, right? And then we have here a release. So again, it was a release. Their souls were released from this physical world. Again, I cannot make this up. And this is kind of like their soul contract, soul blueprint, soul agreement that they would both exit at this point, even though I feel like Walker could have had a different exit point and possibly survived had the crash not been so bad. But this is together. I feel like, again, this is saying that they both were released from their physical body and from the physical realm in this car crash. We're going to see another clarifying card regarding their relationship, their friendship. So it was a very balanced, I feel like it was a very balanced relationship, but because the card that comes here is give and take. There was a lot of giving and taking. So it could have been a situation where, I'm going to just say this, it was balanced, but also with the give and take, and you look at her expression, like she's not necessarily happy. There was a lot of taking as well. So I don't know if Rhodas didn't have a lot of money like Walker had, and I'm not saying that Walker, you know, was using that against him. Let's get another card here, and I may have to turn to the Dark Mirror Oracle in a minute, which I will either way, to see what other messages come through. Independence. So one of them was very codependent on the other, and the other one was very independent. I kind of feel like Paul Walker was the one that was very independent in nature, and I do feel like there could have been some jealousy. Not that Rhodas would have been jealous per se, you know, on a verbal or a very, you know, outspoken manner, but maybe in his thoughts there were some reservations here between them. It's not like everybody thought their friendship or relationship was like. The walk with wings kind of validates that they're both angels. Now they're both in the spirit realm. I also kind of feel like when we look at this, which is walk with wings, We are a free spirit. So both of them were very much marching to the beat of their own drum. Very, very spiritual. I feel like very open, right, to possibilities, to their dreams, following that. But I feel like on the other side, one of them, I feel like Rhoda still stayed earthbound. Paul stayed earthbound, but they both ended up crossing over. So I'm going to put these cards up because I like to keep everything organized, and I'm going to go into the Dark Mirror, which shows more of the shadow side, and I'm going to ask about their relationship. So these are the Dark Mirror Tarot, and then when I get into the Rider-Waite Tarot, or these are the Dark Mirror Oracle cards. When I get into the tarot cards, it will be a little bit more eye-opening, I think, and a little bit more explanation as to what happened here. So I'm just shuffling these oracle cards, and I want to see like what was going on with Rhodas in particular that night, and then what was going on with Paul Walker that night or that day of the accident. So we're gonna see here. Again, when I tune into Paul Walker, I do feel like he was a very high vibrational person. I feel like he actually had a great vision of himself and what he wanted to do. So this first card is Paul, is for Roger Rhodas. I want to know like what exactly was going through his energy. What exactly was he going through? So the first card I got here is the Temple of My Body. So there was definitely something in his body, something that did not go right, even if it wasn't drugs. Something happened to Rhodas. It could have been like he maybe didn't get enough sleep. It could have been any one of those things, but something was in his body. Something affected the vehicle. I don't feel like this was foul play from the vehicle being sabotaged to take him out. I don't feel that at all. I honestly feel like Rhodas, and this is again allegedly from Spirit. It's not to point fingers or blame anyone. You know, it's been many, many years, but I do feel like something honestly was very, very wrong with Rhodas. And let me pull another card to see exactly what was going on with Rhodas, if it can be any clearer. Downcast pride. So again, very full of ego. Again, feeling like almost like he was maybe, you know, some people that knew him felt like he was pretty, you know, cocky, pretty pretentious when it came to the sport, when it came to doing things. Not necessarily saying that he was a show-off, but this is racing that we're talking about, right? And let's see, what was Paul Walker going through that night, or that day of the accident? What was he feeling? What negative emotion or shadow work or shadow side do we get from him? We have here parasite. So somebody had, you know, I don't feel like he is the parasite. I feel like somebody was, and I'm not again pointing fingers or blaming anyone, but somebody was using Paul in some ways and his kind heart as like a parasite would, latching on to the success, maybe for clout, even though Rhodas had that. I'm not saying again that he necessarily was like that, but let's pull another one that would explain what Paul was going through. We have here the child I was meant to be. So again, this just proves to me that Paul Walker, it was a very good soul here on earth. I feel like, again, he had a very innocent, childlike soul, even though he was a very handsome, gorgeous man, and obviously he was mature. He still had an inner child, and I feel like it was the trusting part, that he trusted a lot of people, and he trusted Rhodas as well. Rhodas, notice when I pulled the two cards for him, he had the darker things. He had the Temple of My Body, right, which is kind of indicating that something was not right with the body. And then also the downcast pride. So a lot of ego and the darker aspect. With Paul, it tells a story that there is a parasite here involved in his life. And then there was the child I was meant to be. Again, so I feel like there's some darker things. Let me see what else regarding this whole accident and etc. The next card I got here is Envious Gluttony. Look, I said this and I cannot make it up. That's the card that I pulled, Envious Gluttony. So somebody was jealous of Paul, and maybe their emotions got carried away that night, and there was a discussion in the vehicle that they were traveling in, and that got out of control. You know, when people are in the moment and they're angry and they're upset, sometimes if you are speeding, things can happen, and the vehicles people can lose control of vehicles. It's happened time and time again. Again, I do not get that anything was foul play, despite whatever would have been found, because you know, a lot of people will say, well, you're wrong, you know, they found that the vehicle was at fault, or blah blah blah, there was something faulty. Again, I stand with what I see, and it may go contrary to what you actually read in the media. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It doesn't mean that necessarily the media is wrong. Again, there's a lot of different meanings here. But we're going to pull some Rider-Waite tarot cards now, and we're going to see what comes up. What comes up, because I'm really, really curious. All right, so these are a fresh deck that I bought for this reading in particular. I didn't want to use any old decks that I had previously used before, and that may have been influenced in any kind of way. So, Paul, I feel his energy is present in this reading. I want to see what was going on, what he can reveal to me. And again, I don't read reversals, so everything's going to be straight up, but to the camera, it may appear in reverse. So I'm just going to start basically pulling cards randomly. I want to know, like, what is going on here. What was going on in Paul Walker's life prior to his passing, prior to this departure. And we know that Paul left behind a child or two. I don't remember how many children. He left a daughter, I believe. I believe it was a daughter. And again, I could be wrong, but he left children behind is what I'm trying to say, or a child. And I don't know if Rhoda's left family behind, but we're going to see here. Okay, so I have some cards here already pulled. Okay, so the thing that we have here is the Nine of Swords. So Paul was going through something as well emotionally prior to this, even though the reports, because I've read some of the media, you know, articles and whatnot, they all tend to indicate, again, a biasness that he was fine, he was happy the day before, or he was, you know, he was fine. But again, I don't feel like he was necessarily fine. There was something that was bothering him. There was something that was worrying him. But what was worrying him? That's what everybody wants to know, right? So we're going to find out. Then we have here the Nine of Cups. So the Nine of Cups is like someone that is not necessarily greedy, but has like a lot of success. They've had an attainment of fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. So he had a lot of you know, happy things going forward for him, looking forward to, again, like I said, had he survived, had this not been an accident, he would have had a lot more success, even more so than what he had in the short time that he was here. The Star card was something that Paul was hoping. He was hoping for something to take off, something to aspire, something that he wanted to see manifested, maybe in the racing world. It could have been him, you know, owning more, or setting some records himself, right? Apart from the acting roles. He was ready to travel the world with the Two of Wands that's coming in. He was ready to travel the world. There was a lot of planning. Again, he was a man of planning and not like just being in the spur of the moment. I'm not saying he wasn't spontaneous by any means, because I do feel like he had a spontaneity in him. But I don't feel like he would have gone into that vehicle and told Rhoda's to speed up because they wanted to, you know, he wanted to feel the vehicle speed and he wanted to do that. No, I don't feel like that is actually what happened. I do feel like he was a man. This kind of tells a story here. This is a person who's very responsible. This is a person who has plans for the future. It wasn't like a suicide pact or anything like that as well. So we're going to just see here. There was a lot of communication. What did I tell you? I said this that night when they were both in that vehicle. There was some kind of conversation or argument or something that went on that caused Rhoda's to be distracted, or to be in the moment angry or upset, and could have contributed allegedly. This is all allegedly, but again, the tarot cards tell a story when we pay attention to it. Again, there's a lot of different interpretations. If you're a colleague, you know, I'm sure that a lot of people that have channels are tuning in, and they may interpret this entirely different than I am. But I like to kind of go with the flow of telling the story with the cards and letting the cards tell the story, apart from what I've picked up channeling. And then we have here the Knight of Wands. So he was going towards something new, again, creating. This was new energy. Also, there was one of them was interested in somebody else, even though they may have been in a relationship. And I don't feel like it was Paul. I feel like it was Rhodas. Again, I don't know if he had a tendency for cheating on his wife, because I think he did leave a wife behind, or his partner, or in his love life in general. But I feel like there was something here about going towards somebody else. There was something here going on, feelings. We have here money loss. So one of them was worried about money, and I don't feel like it was Paul. It was Rhodas. There was definitely something going on. Look, death card came out. The death card. Can't make this up. This was an ending. This is over money. It was over money. Either he was asking Paul for money, or there was some kind of more money that was needed than what Paul wanted to give or invest in their company, or whatever they had going on together, or whatever Paul had, Roger had going on. But there was definitely something about money here, money loss that was coming. And death card, the death card for me tells me that there's a woman that was left with the money behind. Basically, this would be, one of the, or both wives. I don't know. Both men had, I think, partners, right? And family. So they left that behind. Look, judgment card. A lot of judgment came from this. I feel like Paul is saying that he felt like he was judged by a lot of people, a lot of speculation, after his passing, that maybe he was doing drugs, or that he was involved, or this was, he had done something bad to deserve this. But I don't feel like that's the case here. We're going to pull a couple more cards and see what else comes up here, because I'm very, very interested. There's a lot of puzzle pieces that are missing here. But the missing link, the thing that I keep hearing, is Roger. Roger was responsible that night, and he was not in a good place. Both men were not in a good place emotionally. And Paul should not have gotten in that vehicle. He should not have gotten in that vehicle at all. And I feel like this is something that his daughter, and maybe his partner, or the family in general, they ask themselves, like, why did he get in that vehicle that night? Page of Wands comes up, which tells me, again, new energy. It was, there was, Paul had a lot of good things coming for him. He was planning, again, just new opportunities and things that he wanted to see. The King of Cups tells me, again, that there was definitely, a lot of satisfaction. There was a lot of him giving to others. He was a very giving person. He would have given the shirt off his back to someone, and to help a friend, right? To help Roger with whatever the case was. The Three of Wands comes up, and again, it's about planning for the future. A future that he did not get to plan, because again, look, the Five of Cups. This was a big loss for everybody. Everybody mourned. I know people are like, well, you're telling us stuff that we already know. But yeah, but Spirit is also telling a story behind the cards. Like, he was a loved person, and a lot of people felt an emptiness when he passed on, right? That's an emptiness that can't be fulfilled. So I get here the Six of Wands. This is very interesting energy here. The Six of Wands is a victory here. So in some ways, I feel like some people actually were celebrating that he passed away. Again, envious people, people that not like Paul or Rhodas, people just that are, very ruthless. But I also feel like this is saying that, his soul came here to the physical world and accomplished what it needed to accomplish, the accolades, the achievements, the success of the films that he filmed. Paul Walker, I'm talking about Paul Walker now. He did get to accomplish that. Look, heartbreak, the Three of Swords. There was some heartbreak going on as well. This doesn't have to be necessarily romantic, although that would be almost like how I would take this. But again, something between Paul and Rhodas was not right. That the Three of Swords came up. There was some pain. Maybe there was something that Paul found out that was going on, and when Rhodas was questioned, he lost it in that moment. Again, not saying that's what happened. This is all allegedly from Spirit. But the Hermit card says, that there was this feeling that one of the men in that vehicle were feeling very, very alone, and I don't feel like it was Paul. I feel like Paul comes from a very high place of energy. Rhodas was not feeling the love. He was feeling very isolated from people. I feel like he was more of a lonely person, even though he may have had a lot of friends and acquaintances and whatnot. But there was some loneliness here. And I also feel like he felt like the hangman, Rhodas did. Again, the hangman, it tells a story. It's somebody that feels trapped in a situation. They can't get out of a situation. They already are in. So something between those two men that night in the vehicle, there was some kind of discussion that caused a distraction or caused Rhodas to speed up and lose control of the vehicle, resulting in a crash. The Four of Wands tells me that's possibly what was happening in their relationship, their friendship. There was going to be like, I feel like Paul was going to like take a break from Rhodas and be like, okay, you're my friend and I love you, but I need to kind of like step away to take, to focus on projects and focus on other things, not necessarily just focusing on them too. And we get here the Nine of Wands. So it's almost like Rhodas felt, or like, no, Paul felt, or maybe both men felt, but really Paul felt like this was a relationship that was not healthy. It maybe left him feeling like he was giving too much. Remember that card, give and take? He was giving and people were taking from him. I'm not saying Rhodas again was taking, but there was definitely not, it wasn't a balanced friendship or relationship, is what I feel. The Four of Wands is telling me that is where Paul's soul is right now. Like, it is in heaven, it is fine, it is safe. The Four of Wands is like, it doesn't necessarily mean heaven, but in my case, for this mediumship reading that I'm channeling, I really do feel it is. Like, he's in a good place, and he is watching over his daughter, his family, etc. I just feel like, the Four of Wands typically like indicates like planning for the future, but also like attainment of wealth, purchasing of a new home, or acquiring property or acquiring things, financial stability in one's life and happiness in their love life. But I honestly feel like if he had a message for his partner before passing, Paul did, is that he loved her unconditionally and he loves his daughter unconditionally. He loves his family unconditionally. And I feel like, again, this is the legacy that he left behind as well. And that's like the message that I feel like he is leaving here for them, is that, and all his friends that are still alive that are struggling, the idea that he's no longer here. He loves them. He was going to continue to fight. The Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords tells me here there was a lot of fighting going on as well. I feel like people were going after the family, or going off after Paul Walker's family, or and wanting things. I don't know what happened exactly, because it's been a lot of years after his passing. But there was like almost this, people were going in at the family, or blaming people, blaming the family, or blaming, the partner, just blaming, that he wasn't happy. Like, a lot of stories were fabricated, and he's saying that that wasn't the case, that he was actually happy with his love life and partner. The thing that he wants his daughter to know, and his family and his friends, are to be strong, like he was in the physical world. Strength. They're going to need to be strong, because he knows that they're going through things right now as well. And then we have here the Queen of Swords. So he is, this could be like a very maternal energy, but I feel like this would be like his partner, or his the mother of his child, right? Of his daughter. There's definitely some strength here behind the woman that is still alive, and I feel like justice has been served in so many ways. And he wants, the message here is he wants them to continue to work hard, to continue, the success that he had. Maybe the daughter at some point, or, any one of his family members may want to follow in the footsteps of acting. But I feel like, again, he did not live his life with fear. He was a very brave soul, is what comes through. A very brave soul, but with a lot of baggage, a lot of responsibility that he carried. He was carrying the weight for people that he was in, and he was going to walk away. He was going to walk away from this friendship with Rhodas. Pretty sure that he was going to walk away, even though people were saying there's no reason why we would think that, because they were best friends, etc. Well, I'm sorry, but the cards say something else. They tell a story here. And again, this is about you know, the past and the childhood, and just again, very innocent, like leaving the children behind as well. But he had a very innocent, childlike soul. The Two of Swords. So again, there was a big decision here. There was a lot of uncertainty behind this relationship. But this is what I get at this time. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. I will be giving some additional insights on Patreon if you want to follow. If you can go to www.patreon.com/psychic medium Ray. I want to thank you again. Many blessings and love and light. Until next time. Bye.